Well, here it is. The last piece of information you will get from the stable.ca this decade is right now. I talked to you guys in length, probably a little longer than I should. I believe I rambled. There was some rambling about what we've achieved, what we haven't achieved, what we'd like to achieve, what we've done, right? How the horses are, my expectations for our 3-year-olds, our aged horses. And it wouldn't be complete unless I gave you any expectations I had for the 2-year-olds. Now, as I said in the final minute of your last video, I think you already have an idea of who my top 20 list would be. I mean, listen, we have a lot of nice horses. And I have to bite my tongue every time and not say, oh, better than last year. Because it's not fair, and it doesn't matter. What really matters is who we're going to race against. Our job is to exercise and educate. That's our job. And what these horses become will be completely up to them. I'm looking at a lot of horses I know didn't make the top 20 list that are still good horses. And as far as how many horses are close to getting a failing grade, or how many horses might end up in the Ohio sale in the mid-February, there's not many. You know, last year we had a few, and I knew there was a few. We might have even kept some because, you know, we thought they would come around, and some of them may have. That's true. Compass Rose DC was horrible last winter and spring. She did her work enough where you'd say, yeah, she was okay. But then turned out to be such a nice horse, so you really don't ever know. There's lots and lots of horses that were the exact same way last year that ended up being really, really. Canadian Titan was lost in the shuffle all last year. Nobody really talked about her. She just went out and did her work right up until her first Lifetime Start. You're like, yeah, she's okay. But she had a big frame to had to grow into, and man, oh man, she did it in a big hurry. Don't believe me, just watch. Wasn't also eligible and also ran last year. Small, you know, we worked out an agreement where I traded a potential brood mare and some cash for this little runt, and he ended up being such a nice horse. He didn't make the top 15 list for our top whatever list it was for 2020, just because the end of his year was a little flat. But I suspect if he comes out the way he did last year, we'll be talking about him soon. I don't believe Emerald Miss made the list. Looks fantastic. Enduring Strength, another horse. He might have made the list. Enduring Strength? No, he didn't. Enduring Strength is a horse that raced great all year after he learned how to be a good horse. Forged in Fire, he's just starting his career. Could be any kind of horse. Harness AM wasn't on the list. Had a great year. Inland Beach, again, had a good year. These are horses. Miss Brampton Beast. Miss Mischief Maker had a poor year, but she had to grow into a big body. Need Your Opinion. It's a filly pace 52, her first Lifetime Start. Did really, really well at the start of the year till allergies got a hold of her also. She's not on the list. So, I mean, there's lots of horses on these lists that could be on the list that I would love nothing more than to be wrong and to have them jump up and be number 1 through 5. But at the same time, the great thing about doing lists is it's real time. Sure, there's a little projecting going on. I'm looking at a horse. All the horses on this list, I think, have an abundance of talent. Are they going to use that in a positive way? We all know it's up to them. As I said 2 minutes ago, exercise and educate. That's our job. What they do with the muscle, intelligence, weight that they put on, that will be up to them. But I think if the years to come are anything of the years that went by, I think we do a pretty good job. I think we're somewhere up over 90%. You know, we're striking at a 90% rate where 90% of the 2-year-olds we break get to the races. I think that's well above average. And people can say, well, they're not all effective. They're all effective for us, for what we need them to do. Give people the thrill of their lifetime. And many of them do, whether it was a maiden win in August or a Sire Stakes win in July or September, or a Breeders' Crown elimination in October. I think we delivered on our promise to all our clients, and I was very, very happy with 2019. So here's my top 20 list. These are the horses I think show a lot of promise, and they show a lot of speed, durability, and there's a lot of horses that didn't make this list. I cut it off at 26 from 20, and they were easy to get to 26. I'm looking at a ton of horses here with a lot of ability that aren't on this list. Just a couple. Brilliant Corners has an OCD removed from his hock, so we didn't get to fully see what he could do yet. Couldn't put him on the list. Although I know he's a fast horse. So far, anyway. Broadway Roll has been great since the day we started her. She didn't make the list. Beef and Cheddar, brother to Need Your Opinion. A really green colt with clearly a lot of potential, but not enough to make the top 20 list yet. But clearly a decent horse. Captain's Maid has an OCD to come out. Had to take her off the top 20 list for no particular reason. Gave her a B- last week. I love this filly, and the OCD bothers me zero. Not even in the least. But again, I would have to extrapolate what I've seen over into June and then say, well, she's better. She could be better than these horses. I can't do that yet. She hasn't shown me enough yet. First Glance, I don't... Oh, he is on the list. Spoiler alert. Jazzy Judy. This filly doesn't have to race till September. She's done more than she needs to do right now. She's not on the list. Lincoln Hanover's not on the list. Momo, filly I've been touting since day one. She didn't make the list yet. All because she made a couple of breaks the other day. That's easily fixed. No Free Lunch has been training great. Northern Blizzard, perfect record. Anyway, I could go on and on, but I'm going to give you my top 20 list. These are 20 horses that as of today, sitting right here in this seat in my driveway, full of pizza and tea. I'm going to give you my top 20 list. Number 1, only because of her frame and what I believe she'll be able to accomplish in 2020, War We Welcome. This is a big, strong filly, and she loves to do her work. I saw how fast she was finishing up on the end of the mile the other day for Mario. This is an incredibly talented filly, well-bred filly. I would say when you look at the overall work of her pedigree, obviously, and I'd said this before, Steve and I talked about this in depth at length at the sale. If you took Peaceful Way out of that pedigree, it would be astonishingly mediocre. And there hasn't been a ton of horses come out of that pedigree, so expectations were so-so. But from what I've seen so far, this is some kind of nice filly. War We Welcome is number 1. She folded out the horse in second, I guess partially because I haven't gone with him yet. James has been hiding him and hoarding him to himself. Eternity Road. Now, I beat him and War We Welcome the other day with a horse that's way down in 12th. Shouldn't be in 12th, but he is. And Eternity Road has got, you know, as I said to James the other day, most good horses look like good horses, and Eternity Road and War We Welcome, most of the horses on this list look like good horses. Some don't. I see one that doesn't, but is. Or it has been so far. And Eternity Road, just a good-looking horse. Got a lot of hopes riding on this guy for 2020. Just a good-looking colt. And this isn't me talking up horses that have shares left for sale, because he has none. Not a horse that I own shares in. I own none of Eternity Road. So this is just a legitimately talented colt that I have a lot of expectations for in 2020. In at number 3 is a horse I might be biased. I was thinking about this on the track before I wrote this list earlier, and then I thought about it before I brought you this video. Won My Heart Hanover. Am I biased? Because I like this filly and I want her to be good. This is a day 5 Harrisburg filly, I think. Day 5, day 4, something like that. But a filly that I liked from day 1. I didn't go there looking for Sebastian Kays, but when I saw her on the floor, just something about her drew me to her. And I went back, and I went back, and I went back, and I went back, and I pulled her out of the stall 3 or 4 times, and I liked her more every time I pulled her out. We bought her. She showed some promise, but had a left hind curb bothering her. But the whole time that curb was bothering her, she was still a monster on the track. Put the hobbles on her because she was actually just a little too powerful for her own gait. She was making breaks. Put the hobbles on her. And I said, well, maybe I'm just biased. Maybe. She's never been beat in a training set. We've only trained 3 times. So she won an open house day. She put a real beating on them the week before. Whoa, that's not true. I think she was second. Made a break at the wire in the first drone video, the very roughest first drone video we did. But just a filly that just seems like she can go so fast. And the biggest, the thing that cemented this number 3 for me was the fact that the only problem we had with our Sebastian Kays in the past is they're a little cuckoo, all of them, a little crazy, aren't they? Knockdown Dragout was very, very hard to get proper, and we didn't. You know, as we sent her to Aki Svanstead, she still was not proper. Mentally, she was not there 100%. Johan got injured, but he was a head case too. He was hard to deal with. Sebastian, you saw the race at the Meadows. You ran away with Aaron Merriman. And then even Sebastian Ray was a little hard to deal with. That was the downfall of Sebastian Kays. They felt a little mentally immature. Not this filly. She jogs with an open, happy bridle on with her head between her legs. And she knows what she's there to do. and she enjoys doing it. And that's what I really like about her, and that's the reason she's at number 3. Won My Heart, Hanover. Number 4, Roy Hill. It was funny because the underbidder on Roy Hill seemed like a very nice people. They contacted me and asked if we would sell Roy Hill, and I said, well, we have a number of owners so far, but there are a number of shares left if you want to buy them. I think they were more interested in taking Roy Hill with them, and I don't blame them in the least. But at the same time, that wasn't going to happen. So we have Roy Hill there, and 50, 60, 70 shares or whatever left. They'll evaporate soon. You guys aren't going to be able to hide from Roy Hill very much longer. That's fine with me. Take your time. But Roy Hill looked and felt like a 3-year-old the other day when he trained. It felt like I could have went a mile and 25 with ease with Roy Hill. He just seems talented. That doesn't mean he's durable. That doesn't mean he's going to be a fantastic horse. But he certainly felt like one the other day. So Roy Hill was easily number 4. A horse that I had to excuse. The OCD's coming out, the time off. I did extrapolate what talent I've seen from him because he just looked so good. And really, the cementing factor in that was how well he's bred. He's already got a brother that's a multiple world champion. Is that multiple world champion? He's not a world champion in multiple worlds. He's just a world champion. He's a world champion. Vegas Vacation is his name. His brother's name is Braemar. Braemar is a beautiful colt. The OCDs are out. No issues with him going forward. He was a little timid, and he can get a little forceful and a little rough sometimes. But he's getting better. George has done a great job working with him as caretaker George. And Braemar really, really looks like a nice horse. I went back and watched his video a couple of times from the open house day. James had a lot of pop on the end of the mile with this colt. And I know Vegas so I lied in my earlier video too. My earlier videos, I said the reason they gelded Vegas Vacation was he was dirty. And it was none other than Casey Coleman herself that messaged me to say, you're wrong. The only reason they gelded him was because he looked at stuff at the track and wouldn't pay attention. He wore those shady daisies on his face. And, okay, I'm wrong. I don't know where I heard that from. I took it as gospel wherever I heard it, but I was wrong. I apologize to Casey. Certainly apologize to Vegas Vacation. But his brother's not like that. Braemar is not scared of anything on the track. You can move him through horses. He doesn't look at stuff on the track. So he's got, hopefully, his brother's speed and his attitude and his work ethic, and yet he doesn't have the shortcomings that his brother potentially had. That means nothing. You know, a guy told me one time Muhammad Ali's brother was a dishwasher, so I'm sure he was an okay boxer too. So time will tell if Braemar is truly in the top 5. Number 6, and a lot of these horses could fluctuate easily. I had trouble putting number 17 at number 17, and I'll tell you why. Number 16 was probably number 1 for the longest time. This is a strong list. And I'm trying to be fair, but I'm excited at the same time. I look back at last year's horses. Sure, we had a lot of talent. We had a lot of horses. Was it a top 20 list like this? I don't know. Walk on the Moon. Here's a horse with a brother that raced in the Breeders' Crown, won the Super Final in Ontario. This is a good-looking colt, and he is a square trotter as you're going to find. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rarely makes mistakes and looks very, very good. Walk on the Moon. After his performance on Open House Day, it took no less than 24 hours to soak up the last 35 or 40 shares of this guy. Again, as I said, no shares left in him. This isn't a sales pitch. I'm just trying to do my job at the end of the year and give you a glimpse into what I believe. And this is good, too, because you can go back and look at this next year, see how accurate I was. Might not have been accurate at all, but time will tell. Number 7, a horse that I said was one of the better horses I trained the other day, Barbie's Crown. Obviously, I'm excited for different reasons than anybody else. This is a horse that I didn't pick out. Didn't pick out Barbie's Crown at all. This was 100% Steve Palermo's pick. He picked her. He liked her. He wanted to own the filly with me. We worked out an agreement. I own half of Barbie's Crown with Steve Palermo, and I have no idea what she's going to be. But she looked some good the other day. And the reason I said that was she is an anomaly. Doesn't look like a great horse. You know, she's got a thin neck on her. She's tall. She's lanky. She doesn't remind you of a big, strapping, durable athlete. She just looks like a horse. And the reason I fell in love with the way this filly does her work is she beat up on them the other day. She was in a little lower below where she could have been. She beat them up. And then I let her rock afterwards. I went a mile and 45, went another half in 15, which is more than enough work for any yearling this time of year. Pulled her up, walked her back. She turned at the gate, come back to the barn. And it wasn't until I came in with my next horse that really sunk in why I like this filly so much wasn't the fact that she looked great on the track, because she did. It was the fact that she was blowing her head off when I came in. She was exhausted. I didn't know. When I had trouble pulling her up. She felt like she wanted to go around again. Yet she was physically tired. And why do you think that's important to me? You don't really see what a horse is made of until you see it tired, until you see it vulnerable. This is a filly that clearly was tired at the end of her mile. I didn't know it, and I was sitting right behind her. And those are the types of things that, that light goes off in your head. This is a filly that enjoys her work and wants to succeed. And that means a lot to me. That means more to me than almost any other attribute in a horse. So Barbie's Crown is a filly I'm going to pay very, very close attention to for the remainder of her time training down. Frilly Fringes, another filly, looked ultra impressive on open house day with Paul McKenzie. Just looked so good. She's built good. She has a great family, and she's strong. Her only weakness right now is she's timid. Of course she is. She's green. But when horses go by her, if you go to the front and then let somebody go by her, she looks over at them and she shies away, and she'll make a break once in a while. The only way to do that is repetition. So as I said to Mario the other day, every time she comes on the track, put her in that position. Put her on somebody's back so she can't bounce forward. Make her settle if somebody goes by her. Just work, and she'll get past that. That's just a just a green thing. But Frilly Fringe is just an ultra impressive looking filly. A filly that I've talked to you time and time again over the last 2 weeks, and you are going to be forced to pay attention to her all year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. Coming in at number 9 is So Admirable. This is a filly from the same family as Admiral's Express. For those of you who remember, the Gray Gladiator. I drove that horse once, twice maybe. So did James. But Admiral's Express was a great horse. There's a lot of mediocre horses from that family. Probably why we didn't pay a lot of money for So Admirable. But I can tell you one thing. This filly, James loves this filly. She looks quiet now, but she looks aggressive in the way when you move her. She wants to get at it. And you can't just teach horses that. They have to want it, right? And it doesn't matter how many times you move her. She wants to get right at them. And I love that about this filly. And this is a filly I'm going to continue to talk about. Yes, she's a New York bred, so that scares a little bit of people away, and that's New York's fault. That's not your fault. It's not my fault. Certainly not So Admirable's fault. It is New York State's fault. But I can tell you right now, So Admirable is a filly that really looks impressive and has caught my eye now for quite some time. Next on the list is That's My Girl. That's My Girl. At the open house, I told this story before. At the open house, Paul McKenzie was going with her, and I said, she might make a break in the straightaways. We added a pair of bell boots to her, so she had 2 sets of bell boots on. A little more weight. Didn't want to go to toe weights because she's got that big gait like War We Welcome, so there has to be a thin line between the proper amount of weight needed for her to trot in a consistent, constant way. And we put 2 sets of bell boots on her, and he went out, and she looked like a monster. I went with her the other day, and I purposely put her in a position to make a break 2 or 3 times. She worked her way out of it and never made a break, never put a step in. That's My Girl is a filly that has impressed me a lot over the last 14 to 21 days, and a filly that I think we're all going to be talking about throughout 2020. GW Chrome, this is a horse that beat everybody. If we have an open trot, GW Chrome put it on them and made them like it the other day. He's down in number 12. The only reason is he's a little self-conscious in the turns. Interferes a little bit. I think with a set of hobbles, he'll explode through the turns. Ron, who's a caretaker of GW Chrome, or he calls George, I talked to him about it. I gave him the hobbles. I said, we're going to get him used to these hobbles, and I think GW Chrome is going to be a real asset to us in Ohio in 2020. This is a colt that has got very high speed, and I've seen this from this breed, this Break the Bank K. They're a little squirrely. We've been working with this guy, and we'll continue to. He's starting to understand it now. He's starting to cool down. He's starting to understand what his work is. I let him trot into the last turn the last week in the set that we went with. We had some good horses in there. War We Welcome was in there, and Eternity Road, and they were both coming to me. I just let him settle through the turn, and I just let him trot coming out of the turn, and he busted them both up. GW Chrome has got a ton of speed, and I hope we can polish him up where he's got confidence. A horse with that kind of speed, full of confidence, is a scary animal, and that's what I would like to get GW Chrome to, is that scary animal point. and he could well be on his way to doing that. It's only December. It's only January 1st now. You're watching this. December 31st, January 1st, and GW Chrome already is well on his way to becoming the horse we need him to be. Another filly I talk a lot about, we have her sister here. She had an OCD taken out of a hock and an ankle. Eclair AM. This is a filly with an abundance of speed. She made a break and come flying on the end of it, open house day, and picked off Eternity Road. James was posing for the camera, I think, and Eclair AM came flying late with Billy Davis and beat him. Now, she was trotting way too fast to make that last turn, that far turn, and she made a break, but it was simply just a speed break. There was no possible way. I said it on the broadcast. I said, there is no shot she's going to trot through this turn going this quick, and she didn't. She made a break. But clearly an abundance of speed and that desire to beat the other horse. That's something you can't teach them, and she already has it. Miss Meringue, this is a filly that just seems to grow. Every time we look at her, she gets bigger and stronger. This is a big frame and a filly that looked great for the past 3 weeks. James really likes her. I like what I saw with her leading up to the open house. I trained her. I thought she looked fantastic. This is a filly that I think will meet our expectations, but it's going to take all spring to get there. Stacy Hanover is a filly, and I keep telling you the story how we went to bid on her cousin, so to speak, who, I'll say it quick. Glacier Hanover was a colt by Father Patrick out of a sister to Glidemaster. That was our big colt for Harrisburg 2019. We were going to go to 130,000 on him. Never got a chance. He went for 470. Then the very next day, Stacy Hanover comes through the ring. Good looking filly. She's a Trixton filly out of a sister to Glidemaster, and she went for $45,000. Stacy Hanover's just a beautiful filly. She just seems like she's really getting it now. She's understanding it. You can feel when you turn her in to go a mile. She understands what she's supposed to do. I'm really excited to see this filly train down. Stacy Hanover's a filly I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on. Carry a Big Stick. Again, this was a horse that had a horrible attitude when we started him. Even up to a month ago, I had some real problems with him. We really started working with him, and then it just seemed like one day a light switch went on and he understood what he was finally there to do. And he struggles in the turns a bit, but he's got lots of speed. And as I said to James, there are a couple of horses, one being Let's Roll On, didn't make this list, and the other one being Carry a Big Stick. A couple of times this spring, I think we'll sneak them over to Mohawk and give them a day off where they can train on a giant track and build their confidence that way. Let's Roll On will need to learn to go on a half-mile track. He's got to go to Ohio. But Carry a Big Stick will never see a half-mile track. Not in his staking program. He is Indiana. So Carry a Big Stick comes in at, what, number 15? Next is Can't Deny My Spirit. This is a horse that fell from number 1 to 15. He didn't really fall, but just that's how aggressive these 15 are that are ahead of him. Every horse that is ahead of him has had a huge 2 weeks. He's just had a good 2 weeks. He doesn't look fantastic. He's looked fantastic all year, but he looks okay. This is a horse we might geld also. The caretakers have been asking me to geld him. He's getting a little anxious and angry and dirty in the barn, and he may in 2020 become a gelding very soon. But I couldn't be any more happy with the list when I see Can't Deny My Spirit at number 16. Number 17, First Glance. This horse looked tremendous the last 2 weeks. Looked good on open house day. Looked great the other day training. John Downey went with him. Said he was a nice horse. That went without saying. John really put it on us with this horse. I actually did come and get him with a filly, but John had him like doubled up and wrapped up going under the wire, and I came out of the clouds and just picked him off at the wire. But First Glance is a horse that really looks like a nice horse. Cut the Line. Brushcut's baby sister. Mario swears this filly should be somewhere near the top. I just couldn't put her myself. Now, I haven't gone with her. Maybe once. But I couldn't put her ahead of any of the horses ahead of her. Maybe First Glance. Maybe. But Cut the Line is a great-looking horse, and I couldn't be happier to have a horse that Mario swears is one of our best horses down at number 18. Number 19, Better's Hope. The next two are horses that have shown talent. I need them to do more. They've done enough to make the list, but I need them to do more, and I expect a lot more out of both of them. Both of them are Better's Delights. No, I'd say there is a correlation there. Both Keystone Raven and Better's Hope come in at number 19 and 20. Better's Hope and Keystone Raven can both fly. They both got great gaits. They just need to not make me feel like they don't want to finish up their miles. Keystone Raven, James said, is coming much, much better now. And Better's Hope, I saw him at the open house. I thought he should have won that training set. I thought he should have finished off the mile. But most importantly, I thought he let up. And I don't like that. So we're going to work with these two horses. They already have great families. They already have great conformation. Neither of them will wear a boot, and they can both fly, but we need to work with them. You know, I don't want to have another maintenance man issue where, my God, that's a great looking horse, but he just turns out to be so-so. I don't want that. What I want to see are horses that can really go, that know that they simply have to beat the other horses they're against, whether it's training or it's racing. Their job is to get there, get the job done. And I don't feel that from either of them right now, but it's December. It's January. We have 6 months to change that. We have 6 months, and I think changing the way we train them, change the way we jog them. Last year, we thought we would train the Bettor's Delights harder, and that would help. And I don't know if it did. Did it? Not Miss Brampton Beast. Wiggle Delight was one, and we had one other that was, I just thought, an underachiever. Giddy Up Max. These are horses that looked better, that looked like good horses, but just weren't, just not yet. And you'll say they both took lifetime marks. Wiggle Delight won at least one, if not more, stake races. Took a mark of 153 and 2. Pretty nice horse. But when I look at her breeding, and when I look in deep down inside me, I know she's a better horse. Leaves me a little bit angry. So if that didn't work last year, let's try the opposite. And I've told Ron that takes care of Keystone Raven, take the hobbles off them, which we usually go with the hobbles every day with the babies. On Mondays and in the mud, they're the only 2 times they don't get the hobbles on. But Keystone Raven in particular, open bridle, no hobbles. Just let her relax and be happy on the track. Same with Bettor's Hope. When it's time to push, we'll push, and we'll see if that works. But both of these horses exhibit a lot of talent, exhibit a ton of speed. So let's try and go about it a little different way. Both of them have great breeding, and I suspect that breeding will bubble up as we get to June. So let's just switch gears a little bit. So that's your top 20 list. There is a ton of horses that could have been on that list, and I can't go over them all. I just really feel we have a strong year. And if I'm telling you that Bettor's Hope and Keystone Raven are coming in at 19 and 20, and horses you may own are not, I wouldn't be too concerned. There are tons of horses on that list that can make their way to the list. Horse like Let's Roll On. I think that light bulb I was talking about earlier, that switch, it'll go off at some point. I still love his work ethic. I still love his attitude overall. It's just a matter of getting him comfortable. And I think that's a combination of shoes. That forging he was doing before, that's gone. So we can fix him. It's just a matter of working with the horse, and it's easier to work with a horse or a human that wants to achieve more, that wants to do more, and that's what a horse like him wants to do. So whether it be the top 20 you heard, or maybe you didn't hear your horse, this is more or less just a list, just to give everybody an update. And I did this the other day with giving them all grades. They just need to come forward. You know, some horses are now showing me a perfect example. Warwee was up. This horse was lazy. And I know Margot's out there saying, he's not lazy. He is really, really, really lazy. But I'll tell you what he did. He looked really good training the other day. Really, really good training the other day. I think work is the key to Warwee was up. Feed him more work. Put him in a position to do more work, and the ability to achieve more will come. And I believe that's where we're at with Warwee was up. So somebody asked me the other day, you know, I think it's neat that you don't train like used to be you call a trainer like a calendar trainer. They train on a specific day no matter what. They train at a certain speed no matter what. I absolutely do not subscribe to that, and we don't do that. We treat every horse on a regular basis, case by case. So a horse like Warwee was up, feed him more work. Horse like Keystone Raven, feed her less work. And these are things that we want to do with our horses. We need to understand where their strengths and weaknesses are and work on both of them. And these are big horses. I can't make Keystone Raven be a great horse. Can't make her be that way, but I can help her be that way. And that's what we're going to do here. And that's what we always do at the stable. So there's all your lists. There's a bunch of me rambling ahead of time for those of you who have nothing to do and decided to listen to the videos. Thank you very much for that. And for every single one of you, a happy new year. I hope you had a great 2019. I know I did. And truthfully speaking, and I couldn't be more honest when I say it every time, certainly couldn't have done it without you. So thank you all very much. I hope we all have a fantastic 2020. I hope you all celebrate New Year's Eve and have a great time. Take care. Talk to you soon.